Rocky Horror Minute is rated R. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is also rated R. We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the road we will talk about some adult content and use some of our favorite swear words.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip,
We don't wanna
there's
go to
a
war
way.
today.
Where there's
Consider yourselves warned. Welcome to Rocky Horror Minute, the podcast where we break down the Rocky Horror Picture Show in excruciating detail 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Leandra.
And I'm your other host, Kelly.
And today we're joined once again by a beloved guest who will one day legitimize this podcast with a website. Our dear friend, Brad Monroe.
Comments like that make me glad I have this PBR right now.
Brad, when did you say we were going to get that done? The 12th of never?
Yeah, something like that.
It's alright. If we don't have one, I'd say by February, I'm going to go forward with making my GeoCities Fantasy website, and it's going to be so good. There's going to be a MIDI.
Dancing baby gifs.
Oh, there would have to be. Also, so much Comic Sans.
Yeah.
And an embedded MIDI that cannot be turned off.
See, these are all things I love,
miss
so
those days.
you're not dissuading me.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to do those?
Yeah, why don't you make that website, Brad?
Yeah. It could be your passion project.
Yeah.
So, Kelly,
Yes.
what happens in minute 70?
So, they continue the word said, and then continue singing, said he didn't like his teddy, you knew he was a no good kid, but when he threatened your life with a switchblade knife, they repeat, Frank says, what a guy, Janet says, make you cry, Dr. Scott says, I did. They repeat this again, this time when, so they say, when Eddie said he didn't like his teddy, you knew he was a no good kid. When he threatened your life with a switchblade knife, and then Dr. Scott pulls a knife out of the teddy on knife, and then it's what a guy makes you cry, I did, but they do it slowly, so they're kind of walking back to the table very slowly and sadly, what a guy. And Janet says, instead of singing, just makes you cry. And then they say, hey, 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 and they sit down at that. And Dr. Scott says, I did. And then they all sing, Eddie. Frank stands up and strolls out of frame angrily at this, and then you see Magenta sharing a moment with Riff Raff where she's like, ah ha ha ha, and then he shushes her and she goes, oh, and gets very sad. Then Frank grabs the corner of the tablecloth on Magenta's side and just yanks the whole tablecloth off. It is not like one of those magic tricks where the objects stay on the table, everything goes everywhere, and actually if you pay close attention, Frank or Tim Curry stumbles backwards and kind of falls down. I'm not sure how intentional that was, but it's cute. Anyway, under the table, it turns out, which is there's like a glass box or plastic maybe coffin situation with a really fun hacked up dead body prop. So we had Eddie's body revealed, and you can, if you look carefully in the reflection, you can see Patricia Quinn laughing her ass off in the reflection of the table. Everyone stands up, but Frank actually sits back down, kind of pleased with himself.
Also, Dr. Scott.
That's true. I should clarify. Dr. Scott has not yet revealed that he is faking his illness, as we've discussed. He remains sitting, but everybody else just kind of backs up or stands up. Janet screeches and runs into Rocky's arms. Rocky is kind of grinning. And this pisses off Frank, so he stands up again and yells, "Oh, Rocky!" And he tears his party hat off and throws it down, stomps over to Rocky, pulls him off of Janet and says, "How could you? And then he really smacks Janet hard in the face. She kind of yells, ow! And like whips around 180 degrees. And that's.
And what a minute it is.
Did you know that? Because I learned from the commentary, I had heard that it was that some people had their honest reaction, but not one person in the room knew that the body was under the table.
Oh, that's fun.
That
Or that it was a cannibalism thing.
that that can't
And
be
it's
true. That can't.
That is what Patricia Quinn said. She said, and all the reactions when we went around looked as if we knew that we were eating him. And Richard O'Brien said, this world was like some other world unfolding to me. I didn't know what was happening.
What I think might have been true is that they didn't know what that prop looked like. But why would Frank reveal? Why would he take off the tablecloth if he didn't know that there was a body under it? Like, why would he?
I mean,
Why would he do that?
maybe Tim
Well,
Curry
there's
knew.
that whole moment too where like he makes that reference to Eddie, I guess, being the meat, and Brad like stops eating, and so does Janet.
Well, and that's what Patricia Quinn was referring to when she said all our reactions when we went around looked as if we knew that we were eating him, but she said they didn't know.
Yeah, maybe it was just like
That would be a crazy coincidence. I'm inclined to think perhaps Patricia Quinn is misremembering a bit, but I don't have a hard time believing that they deliberately didn't tell people that the body prop was under the table in order to get a fun reaction.
Oh, I can appreciate that, but I do think that Tim Curry would have known.
He might have, although I mean, like, he also could have just been yanking the tablecloth off because he was pissed. But either way, I think they had to have known about the cannibalism thing. That would just be too much of a coincidence for most of them.
Well, and the cannibalism thing was from the Rocky Horror Show. It's not like they added that in
That
for
I
the
didn't.
movie.
That I wasn't sure of. I've never seen the show. Is there a body reveal in that?
Sort of. In the Rocky Horror Show, at least historically, he comes out of a Coke freezer, I want to say. And what they do is they pull out a bag of miscellaneous body parts from the Coke freezer at this point.
That's
that's
quite
how
silly.
Kelly wants to be buried.
It's true, a Diet Coke freezer. I do think that would explain why Peter Hinwood is smiling, and actually it kind of looks like he's laughing or trying not to laugh in this moment, which doesn't make a ton of sense for Rocky the character, but it makes total sense for, I can understand why this would be something that would make you laugh if you weren't expecting it, you know?
I definitely wish that I had the ability to draw because what I've always wanted to do is secretly create like a tablecloth slipcover sort of thing that I could put onto the table that we use for dinner scene and then cover it up with the red sheet that we use for the tablecloth. And then when Frank reveals the table, nobody knows that there's going to be like a representation of Eddie's body on there. I think that that would be really, 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 really funny for me.
That's fair. Similarly, I think that that being Patricia Quinn, if you look carefully in the reflection, she is just cackling, and I think it's really cute if that was just her genuine reaction to seeing that.
It makes sense if it's just the first time them seeing the prop. That potentially seems
Yeah,
like
or
a
if they
story that might have just been like kind of blown up over time, in her head or
her
whatever.
this isn't the first time she has shared information from the filming of the movie and that commentary that doesn't seem like it can possibly be true. And also her constant insistence that she had no idea that there was any incest implied. Again, if you didn't get it from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, you must have picked up on it in Shock Treatment. I refuse to believe she was innocent for that one.
I mean, in this minute, even like Riff and Magenta basically lean in to kiss behind Frank for the most part,
Yeah.
and that's something I noticed specifically, that they're like really going for it right before he shushes her.
So I consider her a bit of an unreliable narrator, but regardless, it's a fun idea. And I like I said, I think it's quite likely that none of them knew the prop was there and that was a fun. But that's interesting because that means they only got one take, you know?
I particularly enjoy looking at Patricia Quinn's reaction to this because she sees the tablecloth go off and she kind of follows that. And then she turns her head back and sees the prop, and that's when she starts laughing.
Yeah. And isn't that fun that she, like, that is what I would do too. Like, if that happened, I'd be like, ah.
Yeah.
Not if it was a real dead body, but,
But it clearly isn't.
No, I know. I'm just saying, to be clear, that's not what I would do as Magenta, but as Patricia Quinn on the set, I would be losing it. I would be so delighted. It must have been fun. And it is, like, a real shout out to whoever did the special effects on that body. It is so, like, fun. And it's, like, just cheesy enough, but also really well done.
Yeah,
I
it's
love it.
cartoony and grotesque. It's not exactly like a super realistic dead body prop, but I don't think that's exactly what you would want in a kind of reveal or moment like that. It does not look terribly much like Meatloaf, but
I think it's funny for Janet to run to Rocky and just, be in his arms for that. It's like a great cuck moment for Brad.
Yeah, she has to go so far out of her way to do that, too. It's not like she jumps into the first arms that she can.
she
She
like
has to go
Yeah.
past multiple
round trip.
people.
Yeah.
Brad really gets left out in the
So-
cold here because Frank doesn't give a shit, and Janet ditches
Yeah.
him. He's all on his lonesome.
That's true. I guess who would Brad have ended up with if they had like all hung around the castle? Frank would have gotten bored with him almost immediately. I feel like Brad and Riff would start a sad little affair with like a lot of crying.
I don't know, if Eddie's dead, Columbia would be looking for Eddie 2.0 maybe.
And you think that would be Brad?
He's
I mean,
hot.
she drowns him in the pool later.
That is true. They do. So to be clear, I'm not saying that Brad isn't hot, but he's the furthest thing from Eddie in terms of like, she likes a bad boy.
Well, she had the bad boy, now she wants a goody two shoes.
Oh, I see. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
If your options for men are Riffraff, or Rocky, or Frankenfurter, and Frankenfurter's not talking to you,
But she is not limited to men.
true, but if she was, then Brad would be at the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, we know that she's getting some from Magenta, right? So
That is true.
Well, you never want to be the side piece in an incest relationship.
wise words from Brad.
Yes,
From his personal
direct quote.
experience.
Roll back the timer.
It has been 0 days since we discussed incest, but it's not really our fault. The movie has incest in it.
This is Richard O'Brien's fault. He's the incest version of Quentin Tarantino.
With feet, yeah.
Yeah.
It is essential to my plot that I kiss my sister here.
Yeah, I wonder if he like had a real sister who he kept like encouraging to audition for these parts. She was like,
Disgusting.
no, thank you. How was that accent work?
That was some of your best.
It was an accent for sure. I don't know which one.
Do y'all any other notes?
I have several. So, you know that I love Alfred Hitchcock's film Rope. I just noticed today that Amazon X-Ray seems to think that this is an homage to that and that it's people eating dinner on a table hiding a dead body, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if it's an homage to that so much as a similar thing that happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them, although obviously the primary difference in Rope is that almost everybody in this movie knows that Eddie was murdered and actually witnessed the murder. So it's not really the same effect as Rope, where it's like, oh, there's a terrible secret.
Exactly. So, my next couple of notes have to do with the teddy bear. But
All
I
right.
guess before that, where did the teddy bear even come from? Is it just between Dr. Scott's legs, just in case it comes up in conversation? Was it part of, like, a care package that Eddie sent to Dr. Scott with the note? Like, what the fuck?
He uses it to pad out his drawers.
Oh, yeah, he's stuffing.
What a bad choice for stuffing, though.
Yeah, I have no idea, and I've always wondered the same thing. In general, like, not I we'll get to this when we discuss the song, but we all know the only reason a teddy is even part of this is because it's the first word that you can think of that rhymes with Eddie. It is such a stretch of a line and everything. I don't know. The whole premise of this song is based on the laziest rhyme. I don't know. And so now it's gotten taken a step further into there being a prop in the movie.
Maybe it's one of those things where he has like a hole cut in the bottom of it.
No!
No, it is not a makeshift fleshlight, no matter what Kelly wants it to be.
There was a guy in my high school who had like a life-size Gumby in his basement, and he invited this other guy that we knew over to hang out and showed that he had cut a hole in the crotch of the Gumby for fucking, and that guy returned to school and told every single person.
As you should.
As he should have.
The CIA could not waterboard that out of me.
I know. I was like, how? Like, you have a friend over and you're like, check this out.
No.
Is this just like a normal guy thing to like tell other guy friends that like here's this very weird specific sex thing that I did? Because I've never once, and I'm not saying that I didn't have like very heteroflexible, borderline homosexual, gay coded friendships in high school when everybody thought they were straight, but they really weren't. But like, I never once was like, hey, what you got over there? And my friend never said, oh, this is the teddy bear that I used to masturbate with, or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, from
I mean,
the experience of growing up as a teenage boy, I will tell you that teenage boys love to try to come off to each other as like number one best at sex, and it's a frequent topic of discussion. So I don't know
but you
why
Would you-
being Gumby mean or like fucking Gumby means that that's true, but I don't know. I remember going to
I
like
think-
sleepovers and all the other guys would put on like Girls Gone Wild and look at titties, and I was like, I'm good. I'm gonna go play Warcraft 3 on the computer downstairs.
God. Yeah, but I mean, well, I don't think it's a normal teenage boy thing because, as I said, his friend immediately went to school and ridiculed him for this, and everybody else also ridiculed him for that. So I think that guy was just weird.
Well, I'm saying it's more of like weirdos will take like guys saying like, "Oh yeah, I slept with this girl and it was so awesome," and try to
He's
like
like,
fit
"I
in and be
slept
like,
with
"Hey,
Gumby."
I do sex too because I fuck a Gumby," and then normal people are like, "No, what the fuck is wrong with you?"
god. Yeah, it's like that meme where the hot guy is like, "Hey, how is it?" And she's like, "Hi. Oh, hi, nothing." And then when it's the ugly guy, she's like, "Hello, HR." It's like that with Gumby fucking.
I'm sorry,
That's
Gumby.
Yeah.
There once was a little green ball of clay, and I never once wanted to fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think it was so much that it was Gumby as that it was a humanoid life-size stuffed animal, but maybe.
That's just really unfortunate.
Yeah.
There's a whole wild, weird world of fetishes out there, like that guy who was attracted to linoleum tile.
And that boy's name? Brad Monroe.
It was not me, no.
So, did you know that one of the first documented use of props by a fan watching the film was bringing in a teddy bear to hold up during Eddie's teddy?
Oh no, that's cool.
Yeah, from the Rocky Wiki, it looks like Lisa Kurtz Sutton. She was the first person documented to use props because she brought noisemakers for creation scene, and then later she started adding a teddy bear. Although she did say later that she might have seen somebody else carry a teddy bear into a 1977 screening at a different theater. So there's a chance that she might have been stealing that from somebody else. But she's the first person to go like, I bring my own shit to this, which I thought was kind of fun.
That's cute. That definitely makes sense for the first prop, because the ease of finding a teddy bear to bring is almost non-existent, or like the amount of effort it takes.
Also, there's some question as to the type of teddy bear. I saw a post on the Rocky Horror Costumes Facebook group by Sullivan Wallace. He brought up some suggestions, including linking to a post by someone in the Labyrinth fandom, who in turn shared screenshots from the Teddy Bear Encyclopedia, which I had no idea existed, which I thought was very cool. But the major takeaway that I got from that entire conversation was that it looks like a lot of people think that it's a Steiff brand bear, which is a German company, but others think that it's more likely to be a British company like Merriweather. And if you look at the Merriweather style of teddy bear, it does look pretty close. But regardless, it's a cute bear with jointed arms and legs and has these dark paw pads. And it has the red bow around its neck. I wonder what is in the middle of its chest, if that's supposed to be like a a blood mark or like a stab wound or what, but it it's not good, whatever it is.
Well, yeah, Scott like pulls the knife out of it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I always thought it was a stab wound, but I agree it's not good.
Like, the teddy bear doesn't have blood though, one would hope.
No, no,
Eddie
it
was just
doesn't.
really into theatrical role play as a child, and he was just misunderstood.
Yeah.
What's like a Shakespeare play where someone has to stab someone? He was just reenacting that.
I don't know. Are there any Shakespeare plays where someone stabs someone?
Well, I don't know because I'm not a theater nerd.
I'm kidding. There's a lot.
As I was searching for that very specific post, I did just a quick like keyword search of my Facebook of teddy bear, and I saw that my ex girlfriend had watched me in a production of Winter's Tale, and her response was like, teddy bear, and it's because in that Shakespeare play, there's a character, Antigonus, who gets mauled by a bear, and I think that the most popular line from all of Winter's Tale is some stage direction that says exit pursued by bear. And what we did for that was we had one of those like life-sized 5 foot tall teddy bears, and we just threw it on stage and had the person playing Antigonus just tackle it and then chase himself off stage with it, which I thought was great.
That is very funny. I've seen that line in various meme screenshots. No, but who knows? Maybe Eddie was aspiring to be Antigonus in his younger days. Just
I
misunderstood.
mean, it is possible he could have been a Shakespearean actor if he hadn't fallen into this life of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Sump sink.
Something. But we finished a song. The fuck is this song?
This is, in my opinion, easily the worst song in the movie.
It is my second least favorite.
At least the worst full length song in the movie, or like, because there's some other songs that are really fragments. So I don't know if it's really fair to judge them against this, which is not only, it is like the only thing happening for its duration, and it's so bad.
This song is really, really, really awful and bad, but it's still not my least favorite.
Yeah, you keep saying that, and I guess you don't, what is it, the Planet Schmanet?
Listeners are going to have to find out.
It's true.
Possibly soon. Possibly not soon.
Later
It's in the
this-
next 30 minutes.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not going to be that long. There's not that much movie left.
I'm gonna rock the boat here, and I don't hate it that much. It's aight. It's got like a catchy beat. It's fine. I find
Is it like,
Make You a Man to be worse, personally.
oh, I like Make You a Man. I like Charles Atlas' song better, as we discussed when we went over that, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it is such a stretch. The whole like didn't like his Teddy thing. It's just such an obvious like stretch for a rhyme, and in general, I don't like the tune. I don't like really any of the lyrics. It doesn't give us very much good information besides arguably Columbia's solo. And there is a reason for that, which I think Leandra alluded to in previous minutes, but I'd actually like to play a clip here, if I may.
You may not.
Oh.
No, do it.
Okay.
And then this was Eddie's Teddy, and I remember when we were doing the stage show, this song wasn't in it, and the show was so short, thank God, that but you were told to go home and write another song, and you came back with this the next day. And I thought, oh God, we've got to learn another song. This is awful.
Yeah, it wasn't it? And then we sang it. We used to sing it. When Eddie says he didn't like his Teddy. And then when they sang it in here, they went, when Eddie said he didn't like his Teddy. It was a different
thing.
Yeah.
I think this film's better because in singing it on stage, it used to bore me to death, that song. Sorry.
It picked it up slightly.
So there you have it.
It brings me joy that Richard O'Brien did the kind of stuff I did when doing my Latin homework in like high school. Trying to finish my worksheets before the teacher collected it in the morning.
Yeah, like no wonder the song's like this. He literally was just like, okay, I'll just come up with something. What rhymes with Eddie? Okay, I'll just go with that. So that's why the song is like that, I guess.
But if you think about it, doesn't it deserve a little bit of credit for being a song, given how little work was put into it, versus perhaps other songs that more effort was put into and were equally bad?
Maybe. I mean, I'll agree with Brad that it has a somewhat catchy like tune, not one that I like, but a catchy, memorable tune, which it's impressive that he came up with that so quickly, and a usable song, but what can I say? Not a fan.
So, how about you rate it?
If I had to rate it, I would rate it a 1.
Out of how many?
5.
So I should rate it as well, but also out of 5?
That's generally what I would say we do, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with a 1.5.
Wow. And
Damn.
Brad, you're giving it a 6?
I'm trying to
12?
decide what rating scale I want to use, like,
It's out of 5.
American letters, letter scoring, 1 through 100, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, but I would say after kind of running through all of the songs in my head, I would place this at maybe like a generous 2.
Okay. That's reasonable.
I guess. Sure.
Yeah. I think it's reasonable. But yeah, that's so another song behind us, so few to go.
That is true. That part is. Oh, there is one bit right after this song, though, that I do genuinely love. It's when the body is revealed, there's this this fun little music sting. It's bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
And it has always reminded me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie when they first meet Shredder's henchmen. I because they do that exact same progression. I don't know. I doubt that it was intentional. I think that it's just a fairly like overdone sting, but it is forever in my mind as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sting.
Okay, Grandma, let's get you to bed.
Yeah, I was gonna say you lost me
Okay.
because I never saw any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff, but I agree
What?
that Sting is good.
Yeah, I do like the
And
sting though.
okay, so Brad, you're just being mean. And Kelly, we need to fix that because the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, at least the first one, arguably the second one, definitely not the third one, were all really fun.
Okay.
I heard the newest one was decent, or at least it had fun animation at least.
Yeah, I saw it. It was fun. I I do think that just growing up and watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie as a very young child gives me the mindset for thoroughly enjoying it, but it does stand the test of time. I really think so.
I do love how stupid of a concept it is and how they just ran with that.
And I do love that they canonically come from the same slime that made Daredevil blind.
Oh, fun.
I didn't know that because I fuck bitches and don't spend so much time reading comic books, you fucking nerd.
Okay, Leandra, let me just ask you about some Batman facts.
Yeah. Do we have anything else?
Brad, you wanted to talk more about Nazis and UFOs.
Oh yeah, I mean, not that
He always wants to talk more about Nazis and
I
UFOs.
think most people do,
That's fair.
in general.
Not Nazis, but yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, there is actually a specific, pretty famous Nazi UFO quote unquote theory that is a big, ufology topic that people talk about. It's um, almost guaranteed, bullshit from a grifter, but it's a fun story. It purports that there was a top secret Nazi project called Die Glock, and I don't know if I pronounced that German right, but it is English for the bell, which was a supposed UFO anti-gravitational device that they were working on for their aircraft and rockets. It was popularized by an a Polish author, Igor Witkowski, um, who claimed to have found top secret classified German documents from the Nazi regime that detailed this. It is most likely um, just more kind of Nazi superstition coming out of the the 50s and 60s, and just kind of fantastic stories and things like that. But yeah, um, that is a pretty famous one, at least a fun story.
I really enjoy ufology, but I wouldn't say that I am somebody who super believes in all of the alien stuff. I I certainly don't think that the Nazis ever made contact, so I don't know where any of this came from
You
for them.
mean they don't you don't think they had a bell-shaped craft that had two high-speed counter-rotating cylinders that were filled with a purplish liquid metal?
Oh
No.
no, that obviously I believe.
Codenamed Zerum 525, as Wikipedia says.
Um, well, thank you. I can honestly say I did not know that and that I do not believe it.
Part of the thing that gets a little problematic with this story is there is some adding on to it, saying that like prisoners at some of the concentration camps had seen it and like were exposed to radiation from it and they died from that, and that's kind of delegitimizing, the actual horrible
Yeah.
atrocities that people suffered through. So
Yeah, well, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but in case you don't know this, listeners, all the ancient aliens shit literally made up by Nazis. Van Daniken and all that crowd, they're Nazis. So,
It's also like if you look at it, even if you didn't realize that it was all Nazis, Ancient Aliens is always about looking at these typically non-European like ancient cultures and going, well, they couldn't possibly have information that we don't have.
yeah.
So us as white people are the only people who ever had like really great technology. So they must have had aliens helping them. So Ancient
Yeah.
Aliens, it's a racist dog whistle.
Yep, it always it like really all kinds of I mean, obviously the reptilian thing ends up becoming a racist and anti-Semitic thing. That's all from the same crowd. So, don't believe in that stupid shit, you guys. It's stupid anyway, even if it wasn't racist. So,
Yeah, it it makes me think less of you for two reasons, which is two more reasons than I would need.
yeah, we'll think you're stupid all on your own. You don't have to try.
So, speaking of stupid,
Yeah.
Kelly, you have told the audience that you're going to share your biggest, most least favorite dinner party story.
Yes. This is a crazy one. So, I hope you guys are ready for just a tale of misery. So, when I was in high school, oh wait, no, I was in college. And for a while, I thought I wanted to maybe work in a particular government agency. And my mother had a friend who worked with that agency. He was a really cool guy. He was actually Australian, Australian American at this point, and he had been all over the world. He was super cool, and he had a teenage son who wanted to go to college at the university where my mom got her doctorate. So a dinner party was arranged so that we could all talk to each other. I could chat with this guy about the agency I wanted to work at and like get some tips and, sort of prepare in that way. And the kid could talk to my mom about the school he wanted to go to. And it would just be kind of a fun little schmoozing dinner for us kids. The guy was married to a woman who, I want to say she was like a mathematician or something, but she was clearly very wealthy because they were very wealthy and it wasn't coming from him. So we assumed it was familial wealth of hers. So they lived in a gigantic fucking very flashy mansion. And when we got there, we were like, whoa. Like, we knew he was wealthy, but the house was just crazy from the outside. And I will say that the woman was strange. Like, just strange to talk to. Very nervous. She kept pulling out her hair, which I don't really want to make fun of her for that because I'm sure it was like an anxiety, like a trichotillomania. The thing is, after she pulled it out, she would like run it through her mouth repeatedly while she was talking to us, which was really distracting. But they give us a tour of the house, and the thing is, this house is like empty. Like, they're taking us to room after room with no furniture in it. And they didn't just move in. They'd been there for like 10, 15 years. And they take us on the tour of this house. It's weird. There's a bathroom that is literally like a hall of mirrors. Like it's like octagonal and every wall has mirrors on it. So when you walk in, it's like infinite reflections of yourself, which is a little jarring. And like, we were just, I mean, you can imagine if you're naked and that's just your naked form closing in on you from all sides in an infinite. Anyway, the house tour took a while. It was mostly uneventful. Like I said, there's no furniture anywhere. Oh, the son was nowhere to be seen, and we eventually found him in the basement with a friend playing video games, and he like refused to stand up or say hello to my mom, and we were like, okay, well, she's here to help you, kid, but whatever. So we left them in the basement. There was a telescope set up in the living room facing the house next door, and the woman of the house just like proudly told us that, oh yeah, like I just love to like watch my neighbors, they leave their blinds open all the time. So and she like
What?
showed us, she's like, yes, she's like, you can see right in through their bedroom or whatever. She showed us, and we were like, okay. And then there's there's a Roomba, and we were like, oh, a Roomba. Not with any great excitement, because, you know, we've all seen them. They're normal-ish. This was a while ago because I was in college, but, you know, they weren't new. But the guy was so excited about his Roomba, he made us watch it. Like, he was like, oh yeah, let me show you. And we're like, okay. And it starts vacuuming, and he made us watch the whole vacuuming cycle, which took a while. Like, and it's an empty room, so we were just watching this Roomba vacuum an empty room forever. And we would try and, like, chat. Like, my mom, like, tried to say something, and he was like, shh, just watch. So we just all stood there in silence watching this Roomba vacuum a room. All night leading up to the actual dinner, he kept talking about how he was so excited for us to try his wife's mashed potatoes. They were the reason he married her, blah, blah, blah. And she was, like, making them while we were there. And I saw her cat eating out of the bowl while she was mixing them.
Oh, no.
So I was like, I see. Interesting. But we eventually made it to dinner. Not before the cat, who apparently doesn't like strangers and is territorial, sprayed the wall with piss in front of us, and then the couple got into a loud and long argument while we were all just like standing there because of that. So they're like yelling at each other, and we're all just like, okay. But eventually dinner is served. The kid and his friend come upstairs. They sit down. They don't talk to us. I sit down, and we have the dinner is served. It's whatever. It is literally just those mashed potatoes, which I had to take a little bit. I hated it. I took the smallest amount I could and I barely touched it. They were not seasoned. Like, literally, it was potatoes that were mashed. So I don't know what the fuck he was going on about. There was no salt, no pepper. There was none on the table. So I wouldn't have been eating them anyway. And then, like, but he had grilled up some kind of fish. It was fine. But that was it. And then the kid won't talk to us. The cat jumped up on one of my mom's laps and attacked her.
Oh my
and
God.
Scratched the fuck out of her face. So so that happened, and she's bleeding and everything. I jump up to help her, and then my mom's like, "Oh my God, Kelly," because my mom literally cannot focus on anything if something like this happens. But apparently the seat that I had sat in, nobody warned me, was one of their cat's favorite seats. And so I'm wearing like black slacks, and there is like a completely coated with white hair all over me. Yeah, and I was like, well, Mom, Christina's bleeding, so that's not really what we... And my mom's like, you know, surreptitiously trying to be like, Carly, go into the bathroom. I'm like, Mom, we'll deal with the cat hair in a minute. Like, if they cared so badly, they could have cleaned off their chair before I sat in it. Anyway, and it's like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really trying to impress these freaks at this point. And yeah, that was pretty much the dinner. We went home, and as soon as we got in the car, again, it was just like, what the fuck? And my mom, at some point, as we're doing like our family debrief, my mom was like, I didn't think those potatoes were that special, did you? I don't know why you kept talking about them. They were like completely flavorless. And me and Christina were both like, oh yeah, well, I really tried not to eat any because I saw the cat eating out of the bowl, and she was like furious because apparently my mom didn't see that, and she's like, why didn't you tell me? And we were like, what were we gonna do? Like, we couldn't say it. We were in front of those people the whole time. So yeah, hopefully you can understand why that was the worst dinner party I've ever been to, even though I went to the dog humping one. I've been to ones where people were just being super racist.
There was the MLM one.
The MLM one.
Yeah, that one. Out of 5, how would you rate that dinner party?
I mean, I want to rate it a 1, but to be honest, it's super funny. And I mean, at the time I was very uncomfortable and afraid of getting attacked or pissed on by a cat and bored. Most of all, bored. That tour of the house took like an hour, and there was nothing to see. And he was the guy, so that guy was so braggy and up his own ass. All he did was talk about how cool and rich he was and how expensive everything in his house was. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna say a 1, if 1 is the absolute lowest, a 1 at the time, but a 2.5 now.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, let's go on to callbacks.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Callbacks for the Rocky Horror Picture Show, not for dinner parties.
I would love, if anyone has callbacks for any of the dinner parties I've attended, please let me know.
Yeah, and also give Kelly a time machine so that she can say them at the time.
Yeah.
No, not the cat.
That, you know, that's a callback that's versatile in a lot of situations. Anyway, Brad, do you have any callbacks?
Yeah, I don't really know about them in the order, but one that always gives me joy is when they say, hey, 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 right before that there's a break, and you can say, what does Fat Albert say? And then you can say,
Yeah.
hey, hey, hey! And it's always a
Yeah.
good time.
Very true. Any others?
That's all I got, to be honest. I don't recall. I think I'd be better at this.
Okay. More often around Christmas I hear this, but before the whoa ho ho, sometimes people will also say, what does Santa say? Because it sort of sounds like ho ho ho. And then, yes, there's what does Fat Albert say? And then who farted right before Dr. Scott's like, "Und I did." So that's fun. And then very famous and popular because the celery is very prominently in view right before Frank rips the tablecloth off. So you go like, "If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. I hate celery." And then he yanks the tablecloth off. And then when the dead body appears, sometimes people will chant, "His name was Robert Paulson. His name was Robert Paulson." Getting kind of dated, but still a good time. That's what I got.
About the Robert Paulson one, I have never seen somebody get so angry about a callback before as somebody going, "His name is Robert Paulson," because in Fight Club, that's what they say, because in death, everybody's name is Robert Paulson. It's not "his name was Robert Paulson," it's "his name is Robert Paulson. His name is Robert Paulson." And I was like, oh, I'm going to remember this moment for the rest of my life, and not for reasons that you want to know about.
Oh, man. It's never a good idea, dear listeners, to be too invested in anything about Fight Club. It doesn't ever come off looking good.
No, you don't want to be a stan for one of the okayest movies of all time.
But when he threatened your life with and they say switchblade knife, they say that you can say ballpoint pen, and then the callback to that callback is somebody in props is going to die for this. And I think that it's because most casts use a pen instead of a switchblade knife, obviously. I had somebody argue with me that it's because he uses a ballpoint pen to demonstrate that. And I looked today, and it certainly doesn't look to be a ballpoint pen that he's using to stab the teddy bear. Perhaps
No
I'm just
way.
mistaken.
I always thought it was a
No, they
dinner
were
knife,
mistaken.
like a.
Yeah, I thought it was like his
Yeah.
butter knife from the table.
Yeah, but it's not a pen.
No, it is. It's not a pen, nor does it look like a pen. What a
Yeah.
stretch.
Yeah. Next one is for that final "und I did." There are a couple that you can do here. There's "what's an unt," and you can say "it's a cunt below sea level," which used to be my favorite. But there was kind of an extended one that was Robert Seebeck's favorite callback, and Robert was one of my favorite Rocky people of all time who passed away somewhat recently. And his favorite was, "What's an unt? It's 3/4 of a cunt. Where's the rest of it? I ate it."
Stupid.
Just so much call and response, but the "I ate it" was the part that gave him so much glee.
That man never ate a cunt in his life.
It's true, he was very gay.
Yeah.
And then when Janet goes to Rocky and is embraced by him, and Frank goes, "Rocky, how could you? It's how heterosexual of you."
Oh, yeah.
And this is right at the beginning of the underwear run, and you can go, "Let's play another game of Slap the Slut. Frank, you go first." And that's when Frank slaps Janet.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, those are all of the callbacks that I know.
Well, that's great. Brad, I'm gonna have you escorted into the woods now.
No,
Yes,
wait, please. And provide a lot of value.
Do you provide a lot of website?
No. No, I don't.
Okay, to the woods with you.
No.
Okay, if you stick around for another minute and also make us a website, I'll let you live.
Is there gonna
For
be
1 more
another okayest song?
We'll start one, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a deal.
All right. So I guess
Heard
that
it here,
means
listeners. He agreed to make us a website.
yes, and it's going to have so much Comic Sans. But now
No,
you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
here.
So
Get the
get
fuck out.
the fuck out.
To the late night double feature picture show.
It's over.